Remember, when things happen to you, you have about a 90-second chemical reaction that happens. What I found is that mostly for men, it's an ego problem when a 100-pound female is kicking their ass, bouncing on a trampoline. I have many testimonials from women who were postpartum that didn't know how they were going to recover from that. What is your why? Why are you here?
Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Logbook podcast. I'm your host, Zach Bernard. You can find me on social at It's Zach B. In each episode, I bring on experts from various industries for you to learn about their strategies and insights. Today, we're joined by Steve Carver, Product Development Director and Master Trainer at JumpSport, the fitness trampoline brand known for bringing low-impact rebounding into gym studios and homes around the world. Steve's path into fitness actually started at a gym front desk, and over the past 35 years, it's taking him from personal training celebrity clients to appearing on National Fitness Transformation TV show, eventually earning him the nickname Mr. Bouncer for his work championing rebounding as a training method. These days, he's helping shape the next generation of recovery science as a certified H2 advisor through the Molecular Hydrogen Institute, exploring how movement and cellular recovery works together for long-term health. Steve, it's great to have you on the show. Welcome aboard.
Zachary, this is a pleasure, and thank you for having me.
Well, I'm really excited for this because I will tell you, we've had a lot of different people on our show, like marketing, finance, leadership, anything that you could think of. But the one area that I don't think we've had anyone in has really been fitness, health, wellness. So I'm a little bit excited. I think it's going to be for like a different type of conversation that we're usually having. And I know that you've been around the block for a while, so I know that you're going to have some interesting insights to share with the audience here.
But yeah, on that level, you gave me quite a great introduction. I appreciate that. I've been doing this quite a long time, longer than you've been alive, I think, probably. So it's kind of scary. But on the other hand, I've seen the industry change a lot, and I'm excited to share my insights into some of these topics and kind of maybe help your audience understand a little bit better about not only fitness, but rebounding in general and how it's going to be beneficial to them in the long run.
I love it. One of the first thing that I ask anyone that comes on this show, because we try to have a similar question here. Obviously, I mentioned you've been in this space for a while. One of the things I'm always curious to know is hey, if you had to restart your career from scratch, what's maybe the one thing that you would do differently?
Differently than in restarting my career. I think a lot of times that, and you probably heard this kind of cliche-ish, the whole passion thing it determines whether your work will be a grind or will be something that you love so much that no matter how much time and effort you put into it, you're going to continue. Well, I took the job because I wanted money. And then I've had many jobs before I was in the fitness industry where I made a lot more money early on in my life, and I was miserable every day. So if I can give one piece of advice, even to my younger self, would be do something that you truly love. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to have bad days and that there aren't going to be tough days and there aren't going to be days where you're frustrated. But it means that at the end of that, you still look at what you're trying to accomplish and you're like, I love what I do in general. And yes, I had a shitty day, but at the end of the day, I want to do it tomorrow and the next day. And I want to see this thing through because I really believe in it. So you got to believe in something that you're doing as a whole. So when you pick a career, or you go to school and you're studying for something, don't study for things that say, oh, that's an up and coming career, or that's this, or it's going to make you money. Find something that can accommodate certainly whatever financial obligations whatever lifestyle that you want to live, but certainly find something that you are passionate about. That is my advice to the young entrepreneur.
Yeah. I love that because I was looking, I think it was your Instagram, and I was seeing you jump around some trampolines or so. And I was like, yeah, I think Steve definitely found something he's pretty passionate about and he's having fun doing. Because you can't say that for a lot of professions that you're jumping. I know you do obviously more than that, but I thought that was interesting. And
well, I always joke that if you'd have told me when I was in my 20s, being all the things that I did do and thought I wanted to do in that process, that I would be working with a trampoline company, bringing rebounding to over 70 countries around the world and bringing that modality of exercise to that many people, I would have told you that you were completely out of your mind.
Yeah. I mean, it is a pretty interesting career path, but I'm sure it was definitely a pretty good one, and that you're definitely getting that fulfillment out of it here. But one of the things I'd love to shift gears a little bit, because I know I mentioned that you've obviously been doing this for, a couple of decades. So you spent decades helping people just move better. So from like everyday clients to even like celebrities, elite performers. But what I'd be kind of a little bit curious to hear is like when someone comes to you feeling, I guess, like stuck in their like fitness routine journey, what's usually going on? And like, how do you approach getting them past that like rut or like that feeling of being stuck?
I think most people don't understand that we're the most adaptive species on the planet, and that when put under stress, whether it's climate, elevation, or any other environment, that we live in every environment on this planet, which is unlike any other creature that exists. And that if you look at exercise or fitness in general, I don't like to always call it exercise. People get all weirded out about that. Activities, let's say you have an activity that you love. It's certainly a form of exercise that you would do consistently. We tend to form habits. So if we are going to the gym, we learn a certain amount of exercises and we start doing it, and then we see results. And then when we don't put two and two together that there's diminishing result, is because our body's adapting to that, right? So we need to change the way we approach it. Not necessarily the movement, because muscles only do certain things, but how we do it, how heavy we do it, how long we do it, how much we rest. All of those things are factors that need to be addressed and constantly kind of manipulated in order to make sure your body doesn't become too adapted to those movements. But I find a lot of people, when they stop getting results in this process, it becomes very demoralizing, and then they don't know what else to do or where else to turn. So I guess one piece of advice is always seek out some sort of professional guidance, no matter what you're doing, to kind of make sure that you're doing it correctly, safely, and that you're going to accomplish the goals that you've set out to accomplish. So when somebody's stuck and they come to me and I sit them down and I say, number one, is this a priority in your life? And they're like, well, yeah, of course it is. And like, okay, so then tell me, what is your why? And I know that's a weird cliche that people say, but I've said it for 20 years. What is your why? Why are you here? What is it that, and then once they say, I want to be healthy, or I want to lose weight, or whatever their deal is, I say, okay, what are you willing to do for that? Like, are you willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish that goal? Because you need to be committed on that kind of level, or you're not going to see the results you're looking for. So I try to get people to understand why they're doing it. Are they committed? Are you going to be consistent? You're going to make this a priority in your life. So making whatever you're doing a priority, and that could be fitness, that could be work, that could be whatever, that has to be important to you, or you will not do it. Humans are creatures that we naturally shy away from things we dislike or are uncomfortable. So we're less likely to do any of that due to our biology. Like, it's built into us to not like things that are unpleasant. So find your why, make sure you're committed to it, make sure it's a priority. I don't think people make themselves a priority often enough, and I think that's why they fall into some of these patterns. But the best way around this is to come up with a plan. So it's hard to get to the airport if you don't have a map. Like, if you've never been to the airport and you don't know what road to take, and you don't have a map or Waze or whatever app you're using to find your way there, it makes it very difficult to just get in a car and just drive around randomly. And maybe you'll run into the airport, but most likely you'll just drive around aimlessly forever and ever and never really get to your destination. So I make sure that people understand why they're doing it, make sure that they have a very detailed plan, and be realistic about what you're trying to accomplish. I think those are important ways to be able to get back on track. Like I said, if I'm just going to the gym to go to the gym, what if I miss it? I'm not going to care, right? But if I'm trying to get in shape because I want to run Spartan, or I want to do high rocks, or I want to climb a mountain. Look, I've had goals as simple as, I would like, back in the day where we used to have to change water bottles, right? They didn't have a service. And you'd grab a 5-gallon water bottle and you'd have to flip it up and down on this water cooler. There was a day when we had to do that. I had people that was their goal. They wanted to get strong enough to be able to do that on their own and not have to ask for help. So again, it can be as silly as that in some people's opinion, or it could be like, I want to be an elite high rocks athlete. So have a reason why you're doing it, and then commit. Like it's the small things you do on a daily basis that are really going to make a difference in your fitness routine, period. I don't care what you're doing.
Yeah. I like the why though, because I feel a lot of people are just going to tell themselves like, oh, I have to start running. I have to start going to the gym, but they're not trying to like reverse engineer it to be able to like get to the outcome that they want. They're just saying like, oh, I'll just go. I'll just do, a couple exercises here and there, and hopefully, I get something out of it. But if you come more prepared, you take more of a strategic approach, you're planning why you're doing this in the first place, then you can obviously navigate and know exactly, okay, these are the things I need to do to be able to get there. This is why I'm doing it. And when you have more like that routine going, it's a bit easier when you know what you're working towards. Because if you're just going to the gym, as you said, you miss one day, it's like, okay, I'll just go to like the next day. But if you're thinking about the goal, the why, it's like, oh, like by me not going to the gym, by me not exercising, I'm like missing that step to be able to get there.
And here's the key I see with people.
Here.
Human beings, again, the gym isn't necessarily fun, right? Let's just say when you're getting started,
Sure.
It's not really fun. Or if you're going to change your routine because you found one you liked, but now it's not really producing the results you were hoping for. We like to negotiate with ourselves. Well, I'll do more tomorrow, right? I'm going to skip today, but I'm going to do more tomorrow. Like, so I always have a rule with my clients and personally that I don't negotiate. So if it's on my calendar, it says 11 to 12, unless it's an emergency, I'm going there. And people are like, what do you mean you give 100%? And I always tell people, give 100%. And they're like, but not every day do I have 100% to give. I go, but if you have 40% to give and you give 100% of 40%, that's 100% because that's all you had to give. Yeah. So no negotiating and give 100% to this project, to whatever this is, so that you feel like I did my part. And then if you're not seeing results, again, I told you, go to somebody who can help you navigate putting together the proper plan to get to the airport, so to speak.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about, obviously a little bit lengthy about the exercise, the gym fitness, and I love that. But I do want to go another route talking about rebounding, jump sport.
Sure.
Because I know it's obviously like one of like the main focus. And a lot of people, when you think about, a trampoline, they're like writing it off just as like something you do for fun and not like a real workout. That's like a misconception that some people have.
Sure.
And I'd be curious to hear from you, like, why do you think that is like one of the biggest misconception out there about a low impact movement? And is there like any research that you've seen that kind of contradicts what a lot of people think about that concept?
Well, so two things. I've been doing this with JumpSport for 16 years. So I've been told the whole time I was with them that it's a fad. It's for girls. It's not really that, it's not that big of a deal. It's just for fun. My grandma had one of those. I could give you a million things that was the scenario of why they're not going to work out on a rebounder. What I found is that mostly for men, it's an ego problem. When a 100-pound female is kicking their ass, bouncing on a trampoline, it's really tough for us to swallow. Sorry. We have a very fragile ego, and that makes it really difficult. But I want to start by saying that rebounding in general is a great platform for people to exercise to get a low impact environment that will recruit more muscle tissue. But I want to quantify this. So I work for JumpSport for a reason. And the reason is that we have what a platform that incorporates a rebounder in it. So the curved leg design, it can be used stacked. So if you had multiple units, it's something that can be used in that configuration, box jump. So there's a lot of versatility in the application. So it's way more than a trampoline. But specifically about rebounding, I'm going to give you some details that I understand more than most. Number one, it is going to reduce ground impact by up to about 80%. Okay, so if I'm going to do high impact exercises like squat jumps or other things of plyometrics on the ground, that's going to be very destructive to my joints and connective tissue, and it's going to take a toll on me. So it'll be very difficult for me to do those exercises without a great amount of recovery. A low impact environment like a rebounder will reduce ground impact, and on the JumpSport, it's going to reduce it exponentially so that I can do those same types of exercises. Low impact does not mean low intensity. You can still do all kinds of high intensity, whether it's HIIT training, cardiovascular, squat, like squat jumps, plyometrics. All of those high intensity type of exercises can be done on this platform if you can do them in that space. And the beauty is I'm going to get not only what I would normally get on the ground as far as intensity level of caloric output, but because of that low impact environment, we're creating exponential gravity as you press down into the surface of JumpSport trampolines. And the result of that is that we got to recruit more muscle to stabilize the movement, decelerate the movement. So there were studies done. You'll see ones done by NASA that say that running on a treadmill is the equivalent of 10 minutes on a trampoline. Well, that study was done on a big trampoline, which generated far more gravitational force. So there was a smaller study done by the American Council on Exercise using a JumpSport product, and they compared the caloric output of bouncing on a trampoline or JumpSport trampoline compared to running on a treadmill. And they found that 12 minutes of bouncing on a JumpSport was equivalent to 20 minutes of running on a treadmill calorically, meaning you're recruiting more muscle while doing the same exercise. Now, this is where the misnomer comes. You're not getting the same cardio benefit, because cardiovascular is you raise your heart rate to a certain level for a certain amount of time. And the difference between running and bouncing aerobically is no different. Because if I raise my heart rate to the same level and I do it for the same amount of time, I'm going to get the same cardiovascular benefit. But the amount of calories that I will burn in that same time is going to be greater because of greater muscle recruitment due to stabilization and other muscles that you wouldn't have to use while running on a treadmill. You're also working in three-dimensional space. So you're navigating an exercise that is similar to the world. Like when you go in the world, you're in three-dimensional space, whereas running is very linear. And we want to try to get away from that linear lifestyle, because we do it now. Like you and I are linear because we're looking at a computer. We're forward, we're in a straight line. And that, if you look at the difference between a little child and an old person, you see the little child is chasing purple butterflies while holding their parent's hand, right? And an old person is on a walker, and they're barely making it straight from whatever place they are to wherever they're going. And so the real difficulty is to try to maintain that three-dimensional involvement, and the trampoline is a great tool to do that. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's two main reasons. You're going to burn more calories, you're going to lower impacts. And look, any exercise you can do on the ground, you can do on a trampoline. All right?
Yeah.
I
did big trampoline before. I always love
on that question. If you want to follow up, I mean, I have other things I could explain to you, but basically you're getting a low impact environment. You're recruiting and burning more calories in the same amount of, in the same amount of time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I always thought that was like interesting. I mean, I used to have like a big trampoline as a kid. I would always be jumping on the trampoline, and I know I could do that for like hours. And like, I felt that was my like little workout. I wouldn't go to the gym or anything like that because I was young, but I was definitely on that trampoline for a while. And you could definitely see that you were burning a lot of energy, calories. Definitely. I mean, I'm realizing it now. As a kid, I wasn't really thinking about calories or anything. We're just having fun. But I feel like
there you go.
There's like so much more like benefits to just jumping on a trampoline. That's like where I wanted to go as well.
So how about the fun factor? You just talked about it. So jumping on a trampoline,
the fun factor is a big one.
Fun than a lot of other disciplines you're going to do, right? So that alone.
Oh yeah.
And look, let me go back to I know we went on a long tangent about exercise. But,
go ahead.
But here's the thing. I was asked many times, and I don't know where this came from out of my brain. Somebody said, hey, what's the best exercise you can do? And I said, well, let me think about that. The one you'll do, right? So if I told you that jumping rope and the sand was the best exercise, but you hate jumping rope and you don't like sand, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So find something that you, just like work, when we talked about being passionate about what you do, find something you like. I don't care what that is. And find the tools. Let's say your whole goal is, I want to do a competition. Well, find the tools that can help you do the competition, and find ones that you're going to do, right? So if the trampoline is something, and look, there are some people that don't like trampolines. Haven't met any of them. I mean, in general, most people that gravitate towards the trampolines are super excited. They're super happy. They always have a big smile on their face. And when they're done, they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize that I'm so out of breath. This is so much harder than I imagined it would be. Not in a bad way. Yeah. Right? They always say that. Like, not in a bad. When you think about hard exercise, you think, oh, I'm going to be beat up. I'm not going to feel good. Yeah. But when they get off the trampoline, they're like, that was a lot more difficult than what I imagined. Although I go, oh, so would you do it again? They're like, oh, yeah, it was so much fun. right? So the one you'll do. So find something you love that you'll do. And I
Yeah.
think the Trampoline JumpSport platform is a great tool that gives you a lot of versatility in its application. So we didn't talk about that either. A lot of people think it's just for cardio, right? And you hear it all the time. I see those crazy videos online and people are jumping. I could never do that. Well, that's not the only thing it's for. If you look at it as I like to think of it as a multifunctional exercise tool, right? Everything in my arsenal is a tool for me to be fit. And the trampoline, especially a jump sport, is very versatile because I can do strength training on it. I can do cardio. I can do balance. I can do core. I can do all of that using this platform in a much more forgiving environment. So I'm going to burn more calories. I'm going to be able to do it sooner, right? Because I'm not going to be all beat up. So, and probably I can do it longer for the same reason, because if I'm jumping on the ground, my body's only going to be able to do that for so long, especially at my age. Okay. And so ideally you want to be able to work out longer, harder. And then again, your recovery is faster. So sooner. So you're going to get more results because you're going to be able to repeat this stuff over and over again without all the destructive part of bouncing on the ground or jumping on the ground or whatever other exercises you do.
But I do like the way that you framed it, like the exercise that you will do, because as you mentioned, like us as human, we're going to avoid doing the things that are like really uncomfortable. Like we're maybe just going to like push it back. I mean, I know if I look at a treadmill, I look at a trampoline, I get both options. Treadmill, more like a pain in the ass to do. But if I get to go jump on that trampoline, I'm all for that. I mean, it brings like the inner kid in you. I mean, I'm sure you've seen, I'm down in Canada. I know you're obviously in like the US, but I'm sure you've seen like those like trampoline parks where you can go like jump everywhere.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I used to love those when I was like a kid. Probably still would love them. It's definitely like fun. But I think it's like, it's helping to make exercise like more like easier. Like if you enjoy doing something, you're probably going to be doing it versus the thing that you feel like you have to, like, oh, I have to go run on the treadmill. Like I have to do cardio. Versus if you go jumping on a trampoline, it's like I get to be able to jump on the trampoline.
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like
a chore,
there's like that reframe. It's
right.
If it's a chore, you're not going to do it. You don't want to do it.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't work too
Think
well.
about it. Hey, did you do your chores? And you're like, oh shoot, did I do my chores? Because if you really like doing it, they wouldn't have to ask you.
Yeah, no, probably not. And another thing I want to shift gears a little bit to, because you talked about like the different tools in your arsenal. Like we talked about like how great it can be like for like physical and everything like that. But there's a couple other things that not a lot of people talk about. There's like a connection between the movement and things like your mood, anxiety, stress, and even postpartum recovery. And that's like one of the things I was a little bit curious about, because that's not really something that you think about whenever you're talking or like you're hearing about a trampoline. I'd love to hear like, how does a simple thing such as like bouncing end up having that kind of impact on more like the body, but also the mind?
So neurological dysregulation is a big thing now, right? So you're in your parasympathetic, which is basically dysregulation into being sad or depressed. And that's the postpartum side of this. It also, the funny thing about a trampoline is if you're dysregulated into your sympathetic nervous system, which would be you're nervous, you have anxiety, panic attacks.
Yeah.
So dysregulation of anything neurologically is not a healthy place to be. So we want to try to find tools that allow us to re-regulate our system. The thing about a jump sport in particular is that when you're bouncing on the trampoline, you have to be present. You have to focus. You want to tighten your core. You want to be there mentally and physically. You don't want to fly off the trampoline. So you're there. And so one of the things that people have this misconception that we can multitask, that our brain can actually do more than one thing at once, and it cannot. Okay? What it can do with certain people, you can jump from task to task to task to task very quickly. But that is not multitasking. And that's not your brain actually being able to do two things simultaneously. So when I'm bouncing on a trampoline, you have to be present. So if I do that, I can't be thinking about whatever it was that was spiraling me into these other things. Number one. So now I take myself off the hamster wheel. Remember, when things happen to you, you have about a 90-second chemical reaction that happens. And then if you stay in that place emotionally, it's because you've chosen to replay that video over and over and over in your head. So if I can take you out of that after 90 seconds, there's the first step in being able to be like, calm my system. But even better, as you're bouncing on a jump sport trampoline, you're going to release dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and adrenaline, which is your fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to get all these happy hormones flood into your system. You're going to get a little bit of energy. It's going to be a pick-me-up. And so if you're dysregulated and you're feeling a little down, or you're dysregulated and you're feeling a little too up, it's going to kind of bring you back to what we call homeostasis, or as close to that as possible, depending on where you are, physically. Like some people are worse than others, right? Now, I'm not saying it's a cure. And what I'm saying is that it's a tool that you can bring at your disposal to help you manage these dysregulations that are happening, right? I have many testimonials from women who were postpartum that didn't know how they were going to recover from that. They just were so sad and the trampoline was the only tool. And I have personal letters from them thanking me to help them be normal again. Whatever that meant to them, I don't know. So those are the two main things. Again, being very present. We talk about being present, right? We want to disconnect from our devices. We want to, find that time, and we do breath work, and again, you can do that while gently bouncing on a trampoline. So people seem to think that the trampoline is only for exercise. So we do what we call the health bounce, which is really important during that, what I just talked about, is stimulating those happy hormones and re-regulating your system so that you're present. Okay. Can you do breath work while you're doing that? Absolutely. Are there other things you can do in conjunction with this, what they call biostacking? Wear your red light mask while gently bouncing on a trampoline. And why is that? Why do they do that? Well, they're using the red light for an anti-inflammatory response, I believe. And then when you bounce gently on a trampoline, you also stimulate your lymphatic system, right? So your lymphatic system is basically your garbage man of your body. It gets rid of cellular debris, picks up excess extracellular water that's been deposited, it brings it into your lymph system. Then it is routed through a system of valves and nodes that help eliminate bacteria and other things that can be killed. And then, make sure that they don't end up back in your circulatory system, so that once it gets back to be disposed of by your kidneys and your liver, some of it through your intestines as well. This gentle pumping action that you get with muscle contraction and release pushes lymph through that system to be able to detoxify your body, basically.
Yeah. I love the fact that you mentioned that kind of stuck with me, like when you talked about the letters that you were getting. And I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the feeling that this ties back into your why, being able to have that impact on people too. I imagine just getting those people just sending you a personal letter, whether it's through an email or if it's a written letter, that must mean a lot to you. Just being able to see the impact that you're able to have on all these people.
It's certainly gratifying to understand that it's way more than a trampoline, that it can help people in far more ways than just physical, right? It is an amazing fitness tool, but it's also a great wellness tool that is at your disposal to help you navigate life as it comes at you hard and fast, right? And I can never understand what postpartum is, because I obviously can't have children that way. I'm not producing children.
Sure.
But being depressed or being sad is generally not in my nature, so it's really hard for me to understand that. But reading these letters certainly does help me be more dedicated to producing products that people feel safe on, that people can use in a multitude of ways. So the versatility of the JumpSport product, like I said, it's way more than a trampoline, to allow you to be able to use it in that wellness capacity as well as a fitness one. And sometimes it's just fun to get on there and put your favorite dance music on and not have a plan and just dance in that forgiving environment. As I get older, and people don't realize, I wore out both of my hips being an extreme athlete and running ultra marathons and competing in different competitions. Both of my hips failed on me, and I had severe arthritis, and I had both of them replaced. Within 5 days, I was exercising back on the trampoline with my walker. I have actually video of me bouncing with my walker.
Dedication.
And people were like, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's something to do. I can't sit still." And I was dying in that chair, and they told me I need to move, so I'm moving.
You gotta do what you gotta do. But the dedication, I love that. Like, I feel a lot of people have just done nothing, but you're on your walker on the trampoline.
Walker on my trampoline.
Do you have a picture? Do you have a picture on your Instagram or something like that?
I'll have to look
You gotta
for it,
send me
but
that.
I'll send it over to you so you can like show people. I guess I just think it's funny that people thought I was crazy, but you know what? You got to do what you got to do to get back at it.
Fair enough. And you talked about like creating like new things. I know we talked about like obviously the trampoline itself, but there's another thing that we kind of talked a little bit about in the beginning, not too much, but you're pretty deep into like the science of like recovery now with like molecular hydrogen. For someone that's like never heard of it, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit on that side of things. I'd kind of be curious to hear why it's getting like so much attention in the fitness space.
Let's start with recovery. So the trampoline itself is a great recovery tool. Active recovery, there's plenty of information out there that you can go do your own research. You're going to recover moving when you're actively recovering. You're going to recover anywhere up to 20% quicker than just static recovery. And doing it on the trampoline is a lot more fun than doing it on the ground. Certainly walking in place or taking a walk it off. You see people after they run an event, they're walking. That's called active recovery. You see guys on bicycles on the sideline of a football game, and they're pedaling. That's active recovery. And they found that is a great tool to recover quicker than you normally would doing static recovery, doing nothing, just sitting. So the trampoline is actually a great tool for that as well. But getting into the science of using molecular hydrogen as a part of your recovery process, we sell a product called a liquid hydrogen that is a hydrogen water electrolyte pack that you mix in water, and it creates molecular hydrogen, or hydrogen water, which is basically either in solution or in suspension. So it either dissolves in the water or it's held in suspension where it's floating in the water. And there's a certain dose of hydrogen that is beneficial. And emerging science shows that hydrogen is the this isn't new science, but it's the smallest molecule we know of. It can pass the blood-brain barrier, so it really doesn't have any problems going anywhere in your body. It doesn't need a channel. It can get into every cell. It does what it does, right? And it's in and out of your body within an hour based on from the time you take it to the time it leaves. And they're like, well, is that the end of it? Well, no, they found that the science, at least the current science shows, that it has an effect on you for at least 24 hours after you ingest a dose of hydrogen gas into your body. Now, people are like, well, is that dangerous? I'm like, no, well, your body produces hydrogen gas when you eat certain types of vegetables. But getting a specific dose of it is really important to see certain benefits. And like I said, the emerging science shows that across a broad spectrum of disease models, they see a lot of really great data that exists now that is beneficial. One of the things is that it is a selective antioxidant, meaning that it helps your body produce what it needs to get rid of oxidants. So in other words, it doesn't go in like vitamin C or anything like that and target, free radicals. What it does is it helps your body, it regulates the cell to produce what it needs to get rid of oxidants and like oxidation that's not good. What people don't realize is that overtaking antioxidants like vitamin C or any other one, there's a lot of them out there that people talk about, that are not selective, can dysregulate your body the other direction, right? We talked about dysregulation. So your body produces nitric oxide, which is an oxidant. Your body produces hydrogen peroxide, which is an oxidant. But it's important in how your body functions. And I don't want to get too deep into the science. But hydrogen doesn't do any of that. It basically helps your body regulate, gets the cells back to homeostasis so that they can function correctly and produce what they need in order to do that. The second thing it does is that it can affect mitochondrial production. There's a mechanism by which it works, and the science shows that you have increased mitochondrial production when you ingest hydrogen gas into your system. Okay? And the emerging science shows, and probably need more of it to kind of give more validation. Right now, there's a limited amount of peer-reviewed studies that show it's an anti-inflammatory. Now, you may hear that other people make a lot of claims about that, but those three things alone are great for recovery from exercise. Now, liquid hydrogen, we also combine a very mild electrolyte formula that has magnesium, potassium, and sodium, and a little bit of vitamin C, so that your body can recover from exercise or daily life. And it's of a mild enough nature that you could take it multiple times a day and not really worry that you're going to overtax your system. So we developed a product that not only can you recover on the trampoline, but you have a recovery drink that incorporates molecular hydrogen as a component of it that really will help your body to recover from whatever you're going to like. Remember what you like, whatever you want to do, the one you'll do, whatever you're doing, whether it's high rocks, whether it's this. Now, again, if you are an elite athlete, you may need something a little bit more substantial than this. But for the normal average Joe that's just looking for a pick-me-up and a good recovery drink, I think liquid hydrogen is a great tool that you can add to your arsenal. We talked about tools. There's the physical component of this. There's also the cellular recovery of things and making sure that you supplement correctly and safely in that process is really important. So highly recommend that you find something that can help you on that level as well. And certainly highly recommend liquid hydrogen as part of that process.
I love that. Well, I definitely learned a couple of things today, to be honest with you. I mean, there was things that you were telling me, I'm like, oh, that's why. Like that makes sense. Like I see the correlation here. So I definitely learned a couple of things here. But Steve, any parting thoughts for like the audience that you would like to leave people with here today?
Well, again, I think that if you do give rebounding a try, that you're really going to enjoy it, and you're going to find that it is a very fun and effective way to start a program or to add to an existing program, and you're not going to be disappointed. Like you said, when you were a kid and you were bouncing on the big trampolines, you had a big smile on your face the whole time. You're going to find out exactly what I mean about all that dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin. And, if you're just looking for something that's new and innovative, and there's tons of ways to use it. I mean, I guess the last thing I should say is don't think that you have to do all those crazy things that you see on the internet. You can do something as simple as slightly gently, never leaving the surface of the trampoline and get benefit from using it. So I guess that would be my thing. Give it a whirl, see if it works for you. I hope you try it. And, the rebound community is a very family-oriented thing, and no matter which trampoline you're bouncing on, we certainly will welcome you with open arms, and we hope you have a great time and be a part of what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. And for like anyone that wants to obviously get in touch with you, because I know you're Mr. Bouncer here. If people want to get in touch with you, see what you're about, or even get in touch with JumpSport's, see what you guys are doing, what's the best places to look at here?
Well, if you're an Instagram kind of person, I think it's JumpSport Fitness. And certainly you can go to our website. It's JumpSport.com.
Perfect. Well, we're going to put that in like the show notes for anyone that wants to check out, maybe, get a trampoline, get that dopamine, get a little bouncing, join the bouncing, the rebounding community. There you go. Oh, that's what I was looking for. And then, really appreciate you coming on the show. To our listeners, if you've enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, comment, review, reach out to Steve here, go check out jumpsport.com. And then until then, keep pushing, and we'll see you in the next one.